It is Monday, January the 19th, 2015, and we're here with another installment of Behind the Lens, and we're going to go behind the lens and below the line on some fun things today. Joining me again is the wonderful, the super talented, super fun.
Oh, stop.
And super crazy, Chad Miller.
Definitely super crazy.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, my God. You're going to have to fight me off with a stick. You are, I love having you here, and everybody who saw you on our debut show is thrilled with you.
Because I look like Burl Ives today.
Well, no, actually today, because we're going to talk about Paddington today.
Oh, yes, because I look like a bear.
Do you look like...
I'm bringing the teddy bear to the Behind the Lens show today.
Well, we can't have Paddington in person, so we'll get
we'll get the next best thing. That's perfect.
We'll get Chad.
Yes.
So, and we're going to talk a little bit about Oscars, and in our second half hour, we're going to have Peter Baxter, the co-founder and president of Slamdance, who's going to call in.
That's so exciting.
And talk to us about Slamdance, which is now in its 20th year.
That's amazing.
It's truly amazing because for the longest time that was treated like the little stepsister of...
True, but so many wonderful things have come out of that hot ballroom. That has always been one of my favorite movies. So we will talk about that when we get to the second half hour.
Yes, and and Peter will be here as long as he wants to talk. He's going to call in because he's up in the cold country, I think.
Ah, nice.
We're not
up in bear country. We're just going to play the bear theme.
We're going to do the bear theme today.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's start off with. Let's see. Should we start off with Oscars or with Paddington? What do you think?
Let's start off with Oscars. Oscars, I think, are on top of everybody's mind, and then we will segue into something a bit more,
fun,
childlike and Peter Pan.
Childlike Peter Pan. Well, and Oscars, of course. Harkening back to our first show, we learned a lot about costuming thanks to my interview with Colleen Atwood, and happy to say, Colleen picked up another Oscar nomination for Into the Woods. Do you know that she now has the most Oscar nominations? Costuming nominations. She has 11, the most nominations for costume design for any living person. Of course, the record holder for costume design is Edith Head.
Oh.
At 35. I don't think anybody's coming close to Edith.
Well, congratulations, Colleen. That's amazing.
I am thrilled. Dennis Gassner, production designer for Into the Woods, picked up an Oscar nomination as well.
I'm actually very ecstatic to see Into the Woods recognized so many times. As you know, that was one of my favorite things that we talked about last time.
It really just, I'm so thrilled.
And speaking of bears, I know that James Corden is secretly pining for me, so...
Oh, well.
Even if he didn't get a nomination, he's still one in my heart.
Well, there's hope for an Emmy once he starts his show.
Hope. That's correct.
But we've got, there's a lot of chat going on, and I guess today is a good day to bring it up. People are talking about Selma. An Oscar nominee for Best Picture, but nothing for David Oyelowo and nothing for Ava DuVernay. And, there's a lot that go behind that. And a lot of people don't realize how the nominations process happens. Everybody gets to rank picks, and then if everybody has Selma as number one, well, then Selma would get an Oscar nomination.
I would love to hear you explain a little bit more about that, because I know that when I was talking with some of my friends who aren't as deeply entrenched in the industry as we are, they don't really understand how a picture can be nominated for Best Picture but not have the director attached. So can you give a little...
Well, now, what's happened now since the Academy changed the voting rules, and they can nominate up to 10 pictures. You can still only nominate 5 directors. So somewhere in there's going to be a disconnect. And for decades, it pretty much went hand in hand, where Best Picture, Best Director, you'd see them getting nominated. We saw a breakaway with that around the time of Driving Miss Daisy. But it's typically been pretty cohesive and synergistic until that voting change, so that now you can have up to 10 Best Picture nominees. The past several years there have been 9. This year there are only 8. But I think all 8 are just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing choices. And I think the Academy, they got it right.
Well, who are the standouts for you this year in the list?
Oh, of Best Picture?
Mm-hmm. And Best Director.
Oh. I got to say, I think I've got to go with Wes Anderson. That, out of the Best Pictures, we've got American Sniper, which is a fabulous film. It is, I think, the best thing Clint Eastwood has directed since Unforgiven. It is disappointing that Clint did not pick up a Best Directing nod, but the film is something everybody should see. And looking at the box office this weekend, over $90 million.
Oh, my God.
For American Sniper.
My dad will be so excited to hear that. I mean, he has been a Clint Eastwood fan since Every Which Way But Loose. I think that's the first. That is horrible. I'm sure Clint Eastwood would not be happy hearing that, but that was my first introduction to him. Watching those movies.
No Rawhide, none of that.
No, it was like I grew up in a household of like that movie and Cannonball Run and Smokey and the Bandit. Like those were HBO played those, back to back to back. So those were my first introductions to those actors.
Oh, well, I saw them when there was no HBO. But American Sniper, a superb choice as a Best Picture. Birdman, absolutely amazing. Have you seen that one yet?
I think that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's absolutely stunning. Then there's Boyhood. Boyhood is the one that I have a problem with as a Best Picture nominee.
And why is that?
Primarily because, granted, yes, it was filmed over the course of 12 years. Yes, it was a behemoth editing job. Definitely deserves a nomination for Best Editing. But conceptually, it's really what we've already seen from Richard Linklater with the Before trilogy, doing them 9 years apart. This is just all compacted into one film. So
that's actually an interesting point. I have not heard that yet.
That's, I think the film is superbly done. And the one person everybody's talking about, Ethan Hawke. They're talking about
Patricia
Arquette. Nobody's talking about the boy himself, Eller Coltrane. And last week, I played some of my interview that I had done with Eller.
Nice.
And I saw him at the Spirit Award nominees brunch as well. And he is just a charming young man. But he's the boy we watch grow up in Boyhood.
Yeah, and I love that you said that because I just got my new copy of Entertainment Weekly, and they are making him front and center on the cover, which is great because you normally hear about all the big names attached to the movie, and here they're like, well, it is called Boyhood. Here's the boy.
Yeah, and to actually watch Eller grow up over the years, and so much of the character of Mason, he infused a lot of himself as he got older. In terms of photography, he's very much into photography, and anybody who's seen the film knows that Mason also is into photography, and things like that Eller brought, and Richard was very open to that collaboration and a lot of that insight. So Eller is, if he decides to pursue acting, I know he's thinking of college right now, so or his photography, which is amazing. Whatever he does, it's going to be a joy to see where he goes after seeing him. But everybody really needs to stop and think about Eller Coltrane.
Okay.
Because Boyhood would not be Boyhood without him.
Absolutely. Any snubs? Any snubs that you...
a lot of people have commented about Unbroken, Angelina Jolie being snubbed. I have to say, I went crazy for what she did with In the Land of Blood and Honey. That was an outstanding, outstanding directorial debut. I think she took 2 steps back with Unbroken. I don't think that she was snubbed. She did a good job, but I think she lost the humanity of the story in trying to accomplish a lot of technical aspects of the film. So, I was disappointed. I liked the film. She did a good job, but it was not as good as she did with In the Land of Blood and Honey.
Do you think that tends to be true of many sophomore efforts from people? Like the initial thing that they do as their directorial debut really comes out front and center, and then they lose a little piece by the time they move to something else because now they have the clout and they feel like they have more freedom.
I've seen it happen. A prime example is my now friend Dave Boyle, director Dave Boyle. His very first film, Big Dreams, Little Tokyo, which first time we met, I reviewed it. I was his first big review.
Oh, wow.
On the film. And then his next couple films, there were problems. I saw problems, and he was like, and even he admits that, yeah, he lost it there. And then this past year at LA Film Festival, Man from Reno, he came back, he switched up his style, switched up his storytelling, and Man from Reno, superb. He got right, he fell down a little bit, picked himself up, and he is just hotter than ever with that film.
Great.
And Man from Reno is still playing all around the United States on various festivals, winning awards like crazy. And I am so proud of him because he could have just kept running into problems and going downhill. He didn't. He pulled himself up by his bootstraps, reevaluated, and, came back better than ever.
That's great.
So, it does happen. Of course, we've got Imitation Game is nominated for Best Picture, which is so well done. I talked about Imitation Game on another show when the film came out. The problem I have with it is the third act that kind of goes in two different directions, with each point of getting the short shrift. But there's no denying the power of the performances, the power of the story, Alan Turing's story. We wouldn't be here with computers now were it not for Alan Turing.
Yes, that's so true.
So,
There was a lot of biography in this year's movies.
There was a lot, and of course, Theory of Everything. I said it before, I will say it again, hand Eddie Redmayne the Oscar now.
Oh, I know. I was so giddy at the Golden Globes when all that happened. I loved that performance. I mean, from like 20 minutes into that movie, I was crying. The
minute I screened the film before it ever came out, I immediately typed back to the publicist, hand Eddie Redmayne the Oscar now. That was it, and I have maintained that. That is it's an indelible performance that will live for generations.
I totally agree.
Years from now, it will definitely be part of TCM. It will be a classic. And it's due in large part to not only Eddie, but Felicity Jones.
Okay. Well, I think that for me, I was so moved by so many female performances this year in cinema. And I think we talked about it a little bit the last time I was on this show, but I think all the women in Gone Girl were phenomenal. Like Carrie Coon, I thought was just beyond brilliant in that. And I'd only seen her in The Leftovers. Circle back to HBO again.
And HBO. HBO is not a sponsor of Behind the Lens. However, if you would like to be, please give us a call. Let us know.
She just inhabited that role so fully. And the woman's name who played the cop, too, now escapes me. But like I would... The women carried that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Ben Affleck pulled it down by any stretch of the imagination, but I was clearly blown away by the...
Yeah, it is definitely... It's a female-driven film on so many levels.
Felicity Jones, Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt is, and we said this before, Emily is the heart and soul. She is the heart of Into the Woods. And girl can sing.
I would love to do bear karaoke with her somewhere. Emily, if you're listening, there's a duet for us somewhere.
And of course, Julianne Moore, still Alice. It's getting wider in release now, so more people can see this performance. It is nuanced, stunning, breathtaking. I
still pardon the pun, I still have not seen that movie. That is on my list to go see.
It is a definite must-see. And, of course, Reese Witherspoon in Wild.
Yeah, what did you think about Laura Dern in Wild?
Laura Dern was one of the happiest surprises when they announced Best Supporting Actresses. I never thought for a minute the Academy would look at that performance. But Laura just shines. And in coming weeks... we may even have some sound from my interview with Laura.
Do what?
Do what?
What?
Yes.
I've got to be a co-host on the show a bit more. You're talking to all my favorite people.
Well, yeah.
I know what you're saying. I mean, clearly you're one of my favorite people, too. But.
Oh, well, thank you. And we are about to take a break. We'll be right back after this. Behind the Lens is sponsored in part by the Culver City Observer. Located in the heart of Screenland, Culver City Observer is available in print and online at www.culvercityobserver.com. And we're back, and we're sitting here playing with dials, and we're going to see if I can get dials and then buttons right today, too. So that's always a technically challenged one
Take
here.
your cue from Alan Turing.
I'm sorry.
be more tech savvy.
I'm sorry. But back to our Oscars briefly before we move on to the highlight of my film viewing this week is, in terms of a recommendation, Paddington. But, briefly talking about the men nominated for Oscars. Any favorites for you? Anyone stand out?
Gosh, I still feel I'm circling back to something that we said right before the break. It was the females that really pushed it forward for me this year. Eddie Redmayne, obviously, I'm very stoked about. Benedict Cumberbatch, I thought, did an amazing job. Steve Carell was a little bit of a surprise with
big surprise to me.
With Whiplash. J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. Superb. And Mark Ruffalo, I am thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
Mark was the best part of Foxcatcher.
I don't think that I've actually ever seen one bad Mark Ruffalo performance, like a phoned-in performance. So.
No. And we saw him in Begin Again this year as well with Keira Knightley. So Mark and Keira both Oscar nominees.
And The Normal Heart.
Just
brilliant and
absolutely amazing. But let's move on to Paddington.
Let's move on to animals of my choice, bears.
And for those, when you watch our video podcast later this week, you will see the lovely visual aids that we have. Paddington books. All kinds of Paddington books. And these are now new ones based on the movie. These are not Michael Bond's original stories. Those you go by, they are classic, they are magnificent, they are wonderful. But now there's a whole new line of books for young children, intermediate level reading children, about the movie and Paddington's adventures. It's a great way to get your kids to read.
It actually did. This was the first series that I was introduced to as a child. This and Amelia Bedelia. This actually got me to read. I think I first encountered Paddington the Bear in first grade many, many moons ago.
Well, Paddington was born the same year I was, so I had great affection for Paddington. And what's interesting is Michael Bond, the author of the Paddington books, held on to the Paddington property, to the legacy, so tightly. People wanted to make Paddington a feature film. He would not. No, it was just never the right time. There were some short-lived animated series that were out periodically, but never a feature film until producer David Heyman stepped in, the man behind with the magic wand, as in Hogwarts. David stepped in and he brought in this incredible director, Paul King. This is Paul's first feature film. He also wrote the script. Paul is known best for some BBC comedies. And
which ones? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, no, but I can look at my notes and I can tell you that Come Fly With Me, Little Crackers, Dogface, Mighty Boosh.
I did not know. Now I'm giddy. I did not know that information.
Yes, I am full of trivial information.
You are. That's great. All right, I did not mean to take you off topic. No. So he brought him in. So he has a flair for comedy already.
He does.
Clearly.
And anybody that would ever meet Paul, he is the nicest guy on the planet. He is smiling. He is happy. He has the personality of Paddington. And having seen the film and then meeting Paul and talking to him at length, there is so much of him infused in Paddington, even though Paddington is voiced by Ben Whishaw, which it's just melts your heart. It melts your heart. The voice casting is superb. We have some Harry Potter veterans stepping in. Michael Gambon, Imelda Staunton. voice. For anybody that doesn't know the story of Paddington, Paddington Bear is a little bear who grew up in the darkest Peru. And he was raised by his aunt and uncle. And one day a great explorer came from London and brought all kinds of civilized things and tea time and orange marmalade and gramophones and records. And he saw the intelligence of these bears and he cultured them. So Paddington was then cultured by his aunt and uncle and grew up until one day there was a huge earthquake. His uncle dies. His poor aunt can't raise him. But the explorer had always said, come to London. Londoners, they love you. During the war, during World War II, they would take in homeless children and they would find them homes and they would love them and care for them. So Aunt Lucy says, this is the place to send Paddington, and packs him up with a suitcase of orange marmalade and stows him on a boat, and he goes off to London, where he meets the Brown family. The Brown family is played beautifully by Sally Hawkins, who plays Mrs. Brown. Hugh Bonneville, that so many people, he's so often underrated, and he is just superb. And of course, we have some nice little cameos from Peter Capaldi, Doctor Who, Jim Broadbent.
Oh my God, I love Jim Broadbent.
And then the scene stealer of them all, Nicole Kidman. She is the evil Millicent, and she wants Paddington, but she doesn't want Paddington as a nice little companion. She wants Paddington to be stuffed and put in her exhibit at the Natural History Museum. So it's all about Paddington's adventures, and some of the adventures are pulled from the initial Paddington storybook, A Bear Called Paddington. Others are pulled from some of the other books in the series, but it all comes together so beautifully. It is engaging, it is delightful, but technically, the film is superb. Not just in the creation of Paddington. Paddington is a CGI done by Framestore out of London. They have done an amazing job. The most expressive little eyes, even gets tears in them. And when you see Paddington tear up, you're going to tear up. I'm just warning you. So you need tissues. But, the use of color and the production design really tells the big story of Paddington. And I had a chance to sit down and talk, as I said, and talk with Paul King at length about some of that. And here's what he had to say. How did you go about, because one of the most striking elements of Paddington is you've got your cotton candy colored exteriors of Notting Hill, of the residential. Yeah. But then you have this beautiful doll's house that opens up with the vibrancy of the color and the various tones, with the flooring different with each one, the leveling skewed.
Yes, it's all a bit wonky.
How did you guys go about developing this design, this look, and then Eric having such distinctive lighting for each individual room and part of the Brown life?
Well, wow.
I know that's convoluted.
No, that's a great question. I'm going to try and frame an answer that takes less than about a month. It was a long process. I mean, it was we started probably from colour was the sort of first thing, and you don't have traditional colour here either. No.
You skew. You've got, for the rockets in outer space, you don't have a straight red, you don't have a straight orange. Everything is...
They tried to be rich but a little faded at the same time. So it's got this slight sort of golden nostalgia
that
feel.
patina to it.
Yeah. So we looked at that, and I suppose we looked at Amelie, the film, was a big reference point, and the gorgeous kind of deep saturated reds of that. And then we were thinking about Paddington's costume. This is where it really came from. Sorry, I hate to give a pretentious answer, but we were thinking about the red of his hat that he arrives with, and then the blue of the coat that he finds. And they're hard colours to find. There was a moment where my wife is a hat maker. She made the Paddington hat. And there was a moment where I met one of our crew, and he was wearing the red jumper, and we've been trying to find this red, and I went, I need your jumper. And this poor guy gave me his jumper, and I had it, like, it was just like the last day we could order the fabric, and we had it shipped to my wife's studio, and she was like using this as a reference, and about 3 days later this guy went, can I have my jumper back? It's the only one I have. And I went, oh, sorry. It was really terrible. But so we chose them really carefully, and we wanted, and the blue is kind of like an RAF, like an Air Force blue, like it's slightly not, we wanted like strong colours but not total primary colours. And then we started thinking about, well, Paddington's like red and blue, and he brings the family together. And that's sort of the spirit of the film. So we thought, well, Sally and red, there's a lovely Roman Polanski quote about how London is a city of reds, because there's like the buses and the pillar boxes, you know, and the phone boxes and all of those things.
And of course the red poppies.
Yes. And the red hat of the explorer. And we thought, well, maybe red is like the colour of decent England, you know, of like warm, friendly England, like the kind of nice things about it. And so we gave that to Sally and Jonathan, and so she's wearing red coats and lots of kind of bright, warm colours, and the boy Jonathan is wearing like red in his jacket, and his room has the red of Mars on the wall, and hers has that amazing red Chinese wallpaper, and then Hugh's character is much more of the blue, and so Paddington doesn't initially understand him, and so he wears like blue things in his tie, and the girl Judy is in the same palette. And so we sort of started building that and felt that they could slowly swap bits of colouring and
of course
blah,
then
blah,
your
blah.
kitchen was the mint green, the lemon yellows, and
we wanted a kind of way of doing a neutral space that was like not, because Hugh's, like Henry's room's like the front room, and Mary's room's like her bedroom is where she's sort of most associate, that's where she works. And so we wanted a kind of way of doing a neutral space that could, for like the bathroom and the kitchen, and they're in the same sequence, so we got the same colouring in both of those rooms, because we thought it would help the cuts if you felt like the whole thing's sitting together. So it was like it was a long process, but we were trying to use colour to tell a story, I suppose, and we referenced just a million things, you know. And Tim Walker, this amazing photographer I'm a really big fan of, some of the ideas came from some of his photographs, just, you know, lots of different photographs, and a really amazing guy who took loads of pictures of New York in the 1950s called Saul Leiter, and the like big like red, he uses lots of big splashes of red and colour, but they don't feel, they've got that nice old kind of Kodachrome feel, like it's not crazy technicolor, it's like some just zing out, but you go, a lot of the feel of the film comes from the colour palette, and people go, it sort of feels a bit sort of warm and friendly and old, and it doesn't feel too modern. You get, that's why. You know.
So we have just gotten a great lesson on the use of color in Paddington. And I mean, I just, as he said, you know, a red jumper a sweater that somebody was wearing was the inspiration for the color red for Paddington's hat, which is just, it is, as people, you know, when you watch the video of the show today and you go to the movie, you will see all these lovely visual references that Paul's talking about and that Chad and I are talking about. And one of the great things with Paddington is the team. You know, Rob Marshall talked about his own mini Arthur Freed unit. Paul King has his own little mini Arthur Freed unit going on here. Eric Wilson is cinematographer. Greg Williamson, his production designer. Both of these guys have done a lot of work with Richard Ayoade on the Double Submarine. Very color-infused, color-dependent films. And as I found out from Paul, Richard Ayoade and he went to university together.
Okay.
So it's this great collective that's going on. And it really is. It's like his own little mini Arthur Freed unit. And then Sally Hawkins is also part of that, having done all of Richard's films. And she and Paul have also been friends for a long time. Oh, and we have a caller on the line here. Let's find out who it is. Hello, you're on Behind the Lens. Peter, is that you?
Hey, Debbie. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
So, are you freezing up in Park City?
Yeah, we are in the jolly heights of Park City, setting up for Slamdance 2015, and we're having a great time.
Well, and this is a really big anniversary for Slamdance. The little festival that could is now in its 20th year.
Yeah, well, we're 20 and 21, so I think any year after the first year has always been seen as a as a good year, having been able to somehow some way continue, and it's been we've had a lot of fun along the way.
For those that are just joining us, Peter Baxter is calling in on the line. He's the president and co-founder of Slamdance Film Festival. And to give people an idea of from whence Slamdance came, what was the origins? What inspired you and your partners in crime, Dan Mirvish, John Fitzgerald, and Shane Kuhn, to come up with Slamdance?
I think one word really, which is rejection. We all got rejected, but the last couple of years, Neil Young was at the festival, and he was talking about sort of the fear of failure, the fear of having gone through a sort of creative process and it's sort of not working, but how important it is to learn from failing in order to better to create and to be able to sustain actually what you want to do. And here we were in '95, and we didn't get our films into Sundance. Every single one of the films at Slamdance in the first year, which we called Anarchy in Utah for many a good reason, we'd all been rejected by Sundance. And, some filmmakers sort of felt awkward about that, sort of having that stamp of rejection, because, of course, at that time, if you didn't get your film into Sundance, there were very few opportunities as an independent filmmaker to be seen. But instead of, strolling off into the sunset with our tails between our legs, we decided to come together and really form this filmmaking support that we still very much, more than ever really have today. And so just as, as filmmakers who really didn't have a clue about how to put on a film festival, we got together and we were going to support one another. We were going to go out and promote our work together. Short films teamed up with the feature films that they were playing together, and we went out flyering and telling people in Park City, the industry, about what we were doing and why we were doing it. And at that time, you see, at Sundance, not getting in, as I said, was very difficult, but a lot of the films now at Sundance were already finding distribution, already had bigger budgets, and that festival itself was going through changes. And so therefore it became really difficult as an independent artist, a new one coming up, to be seen. But, as a collective coming together, we found that we were able to make a mark, and we didn't know we were going to continue Slamdance. It wasn't supposed to continue. It was just for us in the first year. But then we realized there were going to be lots of other filmmakers coming up who wanted the same kind of showcase that we'd done in '95. And that's what we've been doing ever since. We've really stayed true, I think, to our origins. And it's still very much today, and it's a much larger one now. It's sort of the community is made up of a great deal of spirit, all coming through the filmmakers that either program the festival or indeed just about to come into the festival this year, which we're really excited to support.
Now, one of the interesting things about Slamdance is that your programmers are filmmakers. Other festivals don't really boast that. Their programmers are programmers. They're not filmmakers. How do you think that impacts submissions and the quality of films that you're getting?
Yeah, well, from a practical point of view, in '96 and '97, where there were just a small handful of programmers, and now there was interest in Slamdance from other emerging filmmakers coming through. This question had to be asked: well, how can we actually then program more films that are then going to be submitted to Slamdance? How can we do this properly? How can we do this fairly? How can we treat filmmakers that no one knows in a fair and reasonable way that we can sort of give them a fair shout? And as you were saying, a lot of film festivals, they don't program in a kind of in this sort of in a democratic way. It's a curated program which is decided upon by a few, and we didn't want that. I mean, I trying to be detrimental towards the other process, but we wanted to try and create a kind of a film democracy of sorts. And we found that the filmmakers within the first year were so enthusiastic about wanting to continue to be a part of Slamdance. We thought that a really good way of doing that was to ask them to come back and support new filmmakers by programming the film festival. And that programming has grown. This year we have over 100 programmers, but all of them have been a part of Slamdance before. There's no fashion, there's no particular direction that we have. The only direction, in fact, is given to the filmmaker to decide what film they want to see at the festival. And we divide ourselves into groups according to categories, whether it's a doc feature, or it's a narrative feature, experimental, or an anarchy short. And these groups, then, they get together and they decide themselves what films they want to see. And it's worked. I mean, at Treasure Mountain Inn, where I am right now, in Park City, all these filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, the Russo brothers, Lena Dunham, Ben Zeitlin, this is where they first showed their films. And, I know that we're going to see another great crop of filmmakers this year, and of course it's decided upon then still by the filmmakers.
Well,
and it's shown, I think, that, artists themselves can discover these great new emerging artists coming through here.
Well, I know I've been going through and screening a lot of the films that are going to be at Slamdance, and I have to say I am beyond impressed with what I've seen so far. There is some really, really good stuff. Your publicist, Annie, is doing a very good job about putting things in my hand. So, just so you know. But a really fascinating part of Slamdance is as you have grown, you haven't just grown as a festival, but you've got your screenplay competition, and I love the fact that each year you produce the winning script from the short screenplay competition and then premiere it at the festival. That's something that doesn't happen at other film festivals.
Yeah, well, thank you for recognizing the writing competition. I mean, the writing competition came about as a way to support emerging artists. And, each year we make a winning screenplay and we present it at the festival to give that writer, just like a director, the opportunity to showcase their work. And I think it speaks very much to this community, this filmmaking community, and how we involve other Slamdance filmmakers in order to make that. So, for example, with Think Inc., which is the film you're speaking about here by Wally Chung, he has been at the festival with his film. Bible Quiz, which is the Grand Jury Prize winner a couple of years ago. The music composition is the same composer as the composer we have in Think Inc. And I and Anna, we helped to produce the film. So it's an example, really, of how the community actually does work. And thanks for pointing that out.
Oh, I think that is just a wonderful, wonderful aspect, and it should serve as an inspiration to screenwriters out there that there is somewhere that they can, they may possibly see the fruits of their labor with just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've also expanded to go in with you've got Slamdance Studios now, and I love your $99 special. Can you tell everybody what this $99 special is? Because I just think this is great.
Yeah. Well, a few years ago, we were hearing from filmmakers how hard it was to make their second film. And so much energy and favors have been used up in creating that first film. And to sort of get the next one going, it's extremely difficult. But, what we've seen in the last few years is just these incredible opportunities provided to filmmakers with modern technology. So here we're speaking about the sort of great cameras now that are within our means to buy. It was only a few years ago that cameras, good quality cameras, you couldn't afford them, and they were very difficult to rent. But these days you can buy a really great good camera at a low price.
Mm-hmm.
Same with software that you use for editing or for coloring. It's within your means to own these things and to be able to then spend time on crafting your story at home or in your office, your home office, or wherever it may be. So you don't have to ask for permission or sort of raise a lot of funds these days to be able to sort of get your vision out there. But that was that was a challenge for many filmmakers. So applying then sort of what's happened with new technology, and again this community to support filmmakers sort of be able to continue to practice their craft, to be able to keep on going forward. We decided that we would give filmmakers $99 and 99 days, very simply, to come up and make their own their own film. And that's what we've been doing now for a number of years, and we've had some great successes out of those as well. And one of them got turned into a TV show, and a number of them went on to play at many other film festivals. And it's a way to, as I say, to keep being able to practice filmmaking, to encourage, to support. At a time, often when you're a writer or you're a director, where you feel as though that you are alone, you're not quite sure where you're heading at that particular point. It's great for Slamdance to come along and give you a real good boot and sort of sense of encouragement within our community to continue then to create.
Well, is there anything that you're really looking forward to in this year's festival?
Well, I'm excited about a number of films and a number of programs that we have this year. I think that the competition films, whether it's in doc competition or narrative, it's very, very strong this year. And there's give you a couple of examples of the films that we're playing. Walking with Trees, I think, is an amazing documentary which looks at the tree and really how it's been able to evolve our humanity. And it's such a standout, really, in this festival. Just it would be a standout anyway. But it's this beautiful contemplative piece about how then trees have really shaped the world, whether it's wood that's sort of helped create boats, which has brought us to the New World, or indeed paper. It's a very unexpected film, and I think it's one of those examples where programmers have found something which is so completely different. It really does stand out. But as I say, there are a number of those in our program. I mean, a popular one which you've probably heard about, which Annie has been telling you about, a publicist, is of course Dennis Rodman's doc. In Pyongyang, which we're premiering,
and that, of course, is so timely right now too.
Yeah, and it's all by accident, and of course, it's also an accident that James Franco is going to be at the festival as well. So it's but it fits because, of course, it's one of those collision courses that we love at Slamdance, and I'm sure it's going to. Be a great. That'll be a great screening, and having James Franco at the festival will be also great as well for a film that he's produced called Yosemite, and directed by a new filmmaker, Gabrielle Demester. And she's taken actually one of his stories from Palo Alto that he's been writing, and is probing at the festival. And it's a great example, really, of having someone like James at the festival, someone who's getting behind these new filmmakers and supporting them. And we're going to be having a coffee with event with James on the 29th of January. And we're going to be discussing his filmmaking and why he is so supportive of emerging filmmakers. And we have these coffee with events for our filmmakers, really, first and foremost, to encourage them, to inspire them, and to, in many ways, show them the way forward. And I mentioned before Neil Young taking part in one, but we've had Jonathan Demme take part in one. This year we have Daniel Zappin from Maker Studios. He's also going to be here at the festival as well. And all these, take place to support independent filmmaking and to inspire.
Well, and James Franco, I screened not too long ago his film The Color of Time, where he took 12 different directors and had them all directing different parts of the film. He is a real champion of filmmakers, of helping promote. So I'm thrilled that he's going to be participating in Slamdance this year.
Yeah, he Yeah, me too. And I just wonder, we all work hard at Slamdance, but I just wonder where James Franco finds all of this time to do all of these incredibly creative undertakings. Still haven't worked that one out, but he's so prolific.
I think that he was
again, we'll be hearing more about that at the Coffee with event.
Oh, that's good. My little partner in crime on my end, Chad Miller, has decided James has just been cloned.
Yes, but I think that will be the big reveal for 2015. Is that along with Dolly the sheep, that James Franco was cloned, and that's why he's able to be everywhere and devote countless hours of energy to projects.
Now, are tickets still available to the public for Slamdance, and how do they get them?
Yeah, they are. What we do, actually, we don't sell out. We actually have stopped selling tickets for the moment, and then we reopen selling tickets actually on site this coming Thursday. And it's still possible to buy a few of the passes that we have available as well. But one of the reasons why we don't sell all of our tickets is because we really want to make sure that the Park City locals can enjoy the festival. We want everyone to experience Slamdance and to come and enjoy the films. And we're very, we're inclusive. We're not exclusive, and it's very important to us then that we welcome the locals of Park City who we know really enjoy independent film and get a chance to meet all of these new filmmakers. So passes are available on our website still at slamdance.com, and as I said, tickets are available again for sale come 9 o'clock on Thursday at Treasure Mountain Inn, which is our festival HQ on Main Street.
And, of course, the festival runs from the 23rd to the 29th, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, of course, you'll be seeing Slamdance out on the road. After that, we now have a traveling showcase, and you were referring to Slamdance Studios earlier. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we showcase some of the festival films, and we take them out to different places around the States, and we have a really great program coming up for this year. And, of course, you can now see Slamdance films online, and we're continuing to grow this commercial business in support of our filmmakers and take a sort of a bigger role, I think, in sort of being able to help them sustain their filmmaking career by actually, rewarding them financially as well as finding a bigger audience.
Slamdance is the little festival that is now turned into something spectacular for filmmakers and the public alike.
Yeah, I think it's the little festival that has, right? Like that's what it's done.
Absolutely. Peter, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I'm so excited for Slamdance. I will have a curtain raiser column coming out later this week with some of my favorites that I've looked at. And everybody needs to get up to Park City. Don't go to Sundance, go to Slamdance.
Much success to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks very much for doing this. It's great to speak with you, and we really appreciate the support. Annie will love your quotes. I'm sure she's written them all down as we've gone along. And, we hope to see you here. And thanks for shouting out. And also, just about Sundance, while we're talking about it, the bigger picture here is that we are there to support the greater good of independent film, mm-hmm. and I think that Sundance and Slamdance, we really do actually live side by side. And though Sundance back in '95 really did feel as though it was there goes the neighborhood with us coming in, I think if you look at what we're both doing these days, we really are a complement, I think, to the independent film mm-hmm. making scene, and it's not a competition. And these are two festivals, and we really do want to celebrate all different types of independent filmmaking, and that really, at the end of the day, is really important to us at this time of the year.
Well, much success, Peter. I can't wait to see who these winners turn out to be, and maybe, just maybe, the next film that I produce will actually make it into Slamdance. The last one didn't. So, Peter,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Onward and upward. We have to keep on. We have to keep on going and keep on creating and trying but we're there. But we can promise you that the film, or every film, will be seen fairly, and we look forward to seeing your next project. And you most certainly will. Peter Baxter, thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you at Slamdance. Great. Cheers. Bye-bye. So,
Learned a lot about what Slam Dance is out there doing. I did not know that they're doing their road show now.
Yeah, I love that there's an idea of creating and cultivating. I think that that's really nice. What he was saying at the end about creating like this really holistic kind of cultivation for independent film is wonderful.
Yeah, and you have been to many film festivals.
I have.
You have been in a film festival.
I have. I hope to be in many more, but when you hear somebody like Peter talk about what they're doing, like I know at the end of the day that I want to be an actor, but at the same time, I wish that I had more hours like James Franco or more clones of myself that I could go and work on a festival like that, because I do very much believe in that ethos and the cultivation he was talking about. And to be able to take those films out on the road to showcase to people that can't get to a festival for whatever economic means or whatever, but especially something like Walking with Trees, which I think they're going to find is going to be such a universal film for people. I mean, I immediately started thinking about like The Giving Tree and the Lorax and all these ways that we do interact with the arbors. It's going to make me appreciate National Arbor Day all the more.
Well, isn't that's very lovely.
Yeah.
Well, and now we have a little more time here to go back to Paddington.
Yay, bears.
Yay, bears. We're big on bears here, okay? We're big on bears. And I did not bring my Paddington bear, nor did I bring my bear that I've had since the day I was born. But I also got a chance to, we were talking before about Paul's little kingdom of his own. And one of the great things here is also his production design with Greg Williamson. So I talked to him specifically about that because there were some really notable things, especially a particular bathroom scene in Paddington. And here's what he had to say. How challenging was it for Eric then to light and to frame with that multitude of color at play, and then the intricacy, the production design, the intricacy of each room.
Yeah,
and
the accoutrement. I mean, there's a lot going on everywhere. Yeah.
Except the bathroom. There's not a lot. That's rather simple. Sparse. Yeah. But then Paddington is making everything go on there.
It's true, and there's still some nice details in there. But yeah.
The tile, the handles, the fixtures.
I know. I love the high cistern and that kind of weird mixture of kind of Victorian, and it's got nice things like a fireplace that's been boarded up. I mean, we just talked about it for a long time. I mean, time is a lot. As you go, well, you can have some ideas in a week, but if you have a month, you can. And we just kind of really tried to not let anything go. And there's lots of like little visual jokes that Gary put in, like the foot at the foot of the stairs. There's like a marble foot, and we kind of had the idea of the tree, and then went, no, it's like a sort of family tree. Like we were trying to find something for that hallway, and we sort of thought about this tree, and then when we painted it, well, they painted it, and I looked at it and went, what you really want to happen is all of those leaves to blow off. And there's this moment people go, you go, no, but yeah, that would be really nice. Great, okay, fine. But what's so great is having this amazing crew where people will then try and make that happen for you, and you can do it.
And yes, it's nice when you have a crew and they make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they do it. They just wave a little magic wand. I have to mention a film that is out there currently on the fest circuit looking for a home. It's a great film called Altered. It's a thriller horror. It is by Kelly McClung. I had the privilege of seeing it at Idacuff Screening Room for a private screening a few weeks ago. It is amazing. Think of a darker Groundhog Day with a moral conscience. It's a stunning film. It's visually very engaging. It's very much a pay attention film, a very thoughtful film. And anybody out there, film festivals, this comes across, all you programmers, program it, look for it. Distributors, buy it, snatch it up, because it definitely, Kelly is a writer-director that we want to see more of, and people really should see Altered, because it's fabulous film.
Scary?
Not scary. It's more fascinating how everything plays out and how you go back. The days are repeated, much like in Groundhog Day, each time trying to correct mistakes that you made to prevent something from happening. Okay. So it's very intense. As a reminder to people, Box Trolls is Oscar nominee Box Trolls is on DVD tomorrow. So that's another fun. And, there's so much stuff hitting there for families right now. We've got Paddington in the theaters. We've got Box Trolls. Guardians of the Galaxy is out there. Big Hero 6 is coming out in February. We'll talk more about that again come February. And this coming Friday, and we'll be talking about some of these films next week, Red Army, great documentary by Gabe Polsky. It's all about the Soviet hockey system. So all of you hockey fans out there, you definitely want to have that on your radar. Black Sea, Kevin McDonald brings us this amazing film with Jude Law, steeped in the myth of Nazi gold, set in a real vintage submarine. Amazing. Strange Magic, animated film. I'm screening that tomorrow night. That comes out this coming Friday. And then Johnny Depp is back on screen in Mordecai, which I have not screened yet, but it looks hysterical. What are you looking forward to seeing or not seeing?
No, I'm looking to seeing this. I'm looking forward to seeing Mordecai as well. I have not seen the Box Trolls, so I know the DVD comes out tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I need to brush up on some of my Oscar docs that I have not seen. What else am I looking forward to seeing? I need to see Paddington, clearly, for Nicole and the Bears, clearly. I just know that I have such a nostalgia for that character that I know that it's going to take me back to second grade, and I just need to have a full day to devote to that kind of living back in the day.
And it's a film that you will want to see again and again. It is charming. It is adorable. And
with Jim Broadbent and Hugh Bonneville, how could that not happen?
And we're getting our countdown music. So it is time for us to say goodbye. You will be back again soon. Greg will be back next week. And Dion Taylor will also be joining us, a writer-director that I love beyond belief. We met through LA Film Festival 2014. His film Supremacy, starring Danny Glover, and tackles race relation issues. So we'll see you again next week with Dion Taylor and Greg.